A chance to escape Murdoch'sembrace. I thought the night attended wedding of news information chief executive post. The ceremony took place by a lake at a country estate. I stood next to be present to Pearson Morgan, Walpole, like the elevator was a few yards away. For Murdoch, closer to the action, David Cameron hung back the slope. Gordon Brown, then Prime Minister, arrived late, with all eyes turning to him as he walked down to the lake. At the reception, I had a brief conversation with Miss Cameron. I said I hoped he would not win the upcoming election, but that if we did and if we wanted to improve political debate standard in the press, I would support him. For some time, the journalists in me had known that the relationship between politics and the media was not serving the public, but it was my first-hand experience of this developing culture abuse and negativity that convinced me. Britain's press and 24-hour news were making it more difficult to elect a leader to govern. It's got worse, hasn't it, he said. I replied that he would be a much stronger prime minister were he to take office, not feeling he owed anything to the big media groups. At that point, Mr. Murdoch joined us and we changed the subject. Perhaps we should not have done so. That we did, however, illustrated something of the dishonesty at the heart of what are essentially political and commercial relationships. It is not easy what that militant Labour leader did last week, make himself an enemy of making an enemy of some of the media's most powerful voices. He was right that Labour got too close to News International, but he was also right that given the media advised against him, he knew why we tried to level the playing field. In my own defense, and my diary shows, argued for some years with Tony Blair that we need to act on the culture of our media. At one point, it ticked me off, asking that I not make views obvious in front of Mr. Murdoch, his son James, and Lexington, then chief executive of News International. Ultimately, Mr. Blair thought the press had become a problem, but that, given our other priority, people would not understand our taking them on. He also thought it would look like revenge for the fact they had turned against it, and there were political considerations too. Trying to govern in re-election is hard enough without the press being against you. I accept that for all of us, at times media support was something we created at the expense of position and principle on media issues, but that trap has now been sprung. The latest revelation had forced the police, News International, and the government to act. The police will now be more vigorous. News International will continue with their kamikaze crisis management, which one day will be studied as a textbook case of how not to do it. But the most important development are the Prime Minister doing inquiries into practices and a new system of regulation. This means we now have once in a generation opportunity for a new settlement between politics, the media, and the public. Nobody can argue that we have to press with each other. Pressure by technological change, a dominant strain of Britain's media has gone into a spiral of decline. If this scandal is only the most dramatic development, Mr. Cameron did not look comfortable announcing the reviews. He has personal relationship at stake, and given he hired Andy Carson as his communications director, his judgment is too. Already the backlash from part of the press has begun and seek to maintain that anything but two slips of regulation is an assault on the free press. But Mr. Cameron must stand back from all of that and ask himself what is the right thing to do. He did some of it last Friday. The judicial inquiry should be far-reaching. The news of the war is far from alone in the use of dubious and illegal practices, as widely ignored reports from the Information Commission have shown. Parts of Britain's media reminds me of the trade union before Mrs. Thatcher. They feel untouchable. As I say about Labour could and should have done more to deal with the therapist. But just as the NPC expenses scandal emerged from the failure of Mrs. Thatcher's government to tackle NPC salaries, so the system by which she showered honors on editors and honors, a practice to which she put an end with a rule that no serving editor could be honored, means you to have something to answer for. Whatever the past, it is Mr. Cameron who must lead the country to a better place. Mr. Miliband has shown himself capable of playing a good part. And so should the public. Ultimately, political debate will only improve if the public wanted to. If they channeled anger at recent event into an assessment of what kind of paper they read, whether they really want to live on a diet of celebrity, trivia, negativity, and abuse to coin a phrase, we are all in this together.